Now the time has come to create our first item. And as you know, our game is about collecting coins. And if you haven't heard me explaining what the game is, you should go to the beginning of the course and take a look at that. But you've hopefully already seen the game. And what we're going to do is that we're going to represent these coins, or a collection of these coins, as a crypto item, as a ERC 1155 token on the Ethereum blockchain. And we do that through Engine. And therefore we need to create this token first of all, so that we then can hand it out to our players. And we need to do a few things before we can actually create our token through the GraphIQL tool. First of all, we need to run our wallet, because the wallet will automatically sign transactions. And since creating these tokens require us to sign smart contract transactions, the wallet needs to be up and running. So you need to open up your terminal once again, where we exited the previous video, or where we wrapped up the previous video. So open up your terminal, and here we want to run just node source/main.js, and that's it. Just hit enter. That will start up your wallet. You need to enter your password. It will say beginning to sign transactions. It found my email. And then you also see your address and so on. Another thing we need to do before we actually create our item is to increase this engine allowance. And this is just a limit that Engine puts on our identity, which limits how much we can spend to the Engine smart contract. And we need this to be higher than 0. And that is what we're going to change right now. And to do that, we need to set or run this command here, which will set the Engine approval to -1. And we set it to -1 because that means it's just unlimited. We can spend all of the Engine that we have in our account. The only thing we need to do is we need to modify the Engine identity ID to our own ID. So 3063 is my ID. You have to fill in your own. Then we hit on play. And then you'll see that we get a response back, which is exactly what we want. Then we can try to run our identity command once again. So if we go back and we approve we can click here, we can get our history. Then we can get the view identities query, which will bring up our identity and our allowance if you want to double check. But now you will see that we have an Engine allowance that will be set to the maximum of our balance. When we have that, we're ready to get started creating our item. And that is a create token request. And this is the template for how we create new tokens. And here we can modify the token data. So first of all, we don't want the name to be item name, we want the name to be coin. And then total supply, we can leave that at 100 for now. And initial reserve, we'll put that to 100. That means how much can we actually mint as an initial reserve, how much is reserved for us actually minting. And that we're just going to do all of them. Melt value we can leave as it is. That is the value of Engine, the amount of Engine coins that we put in to making each of this item, so that each item actually has some real value. And this is denominated in what you in Bitcoin would call Satoshis, but it is the actual amount in Engine followed by 18 zeros. So this looks very, very large, but this is probably, I think, 1.5 maybe, or 15 Engine, something like that. Then we have a melt fee ratio. So what will the fee be whenever someone melts this? And that's the fee that goes to me as the creator. That is right now 12.5%. That is, you need to divide this by 100. Transferable, that can be permanent. Transfer fee setting is the type of fee that we can charge whenever someone transfers this object to someone else. And right now we have, what is this, like 1 Engine for each transfer, something like that, with the Engine coin as the actual fee coin, that is token ID 0. Is it non-fungible or not? This is an actual fungible asset. This is a coin, so we're going to leave that as false. And once you have all of that, we can hit play and we can execute this command. Oh, I see. We forgot to put the identity ID here. It just says 1. We need to put in a valid identity here. So I said to you that you were gonna save your identity somewhere. your identity ID. Mine is 3063. 63, you should use your own one because you need to be logged into that account which has that identity. So you need to fill in your own identity ID. Then once again we click on play and we'll see if it works this time. Now we got another error. It said you do not have enough engine coins to cover this create. You have 200. This create requires 1500. So why is that? Why do we need so much engine to create these items? Well, that is because you remember we have an actual melt value. Each coin, each token that we create has an actual value of engine attached to it that makes it have an underlying value that the user then can melt down and get those engine coins. And right now we wanted to mint 100 coins with each having 15 engine attached to each and every one. So that will be 1500, and that won't work because we only have 200. So we can actually reduce this to, if we remove 1 0 here, that means that we attach 1.5 engine to each actual coin, and that should fix this issue. So now if we press play again, now we should be able to create this token, and there we go. Now it works. So now we get the response back, and if we look in our wallet now as well, you will see that this has now actually signed transactions. This has signed on to a bunch of transactions, and that is exactly what the wallet is supposed to do. But now we can actually query for our items if we want to do that, and we can view our tokens by this command. And I've pasted all of these in this lecture so you can check them out. And we can filter here for the item name if you want to filter for that, but I'll remove that so we'll see all of our items, or tokens rather. And then this is what we wanted to return. So we wanted to return all of this data. And now you can see that we have an item that is called coin, and we are the creator. It is our address, that has a melt value, all of that good stuff. One thing is missing, however, and that is the item URI, the important metadata for our item. We need to have an image. We want to have metadata. So that is what we're going to have a look at in the next video. And then we're going to fix that so that we actually have an item URI, so that we have an image for our token, we have properties, we have descriptions, all of that stuff. With that being said, we're going to move on to the next video. If you have any questions about all of these commands and so on, I've left a link to the engine documentation where you can check out their all of the documentation for this little command language that they have here. But otherwise, leave a question in the forum, and I'll see you in the next video.